I hated her, but I wanted to love my mother. And I watched the alcohol increase. I watched her social life drop off. I watched her get bizarre. She had terrible pain from her life.
What if I told you that one of the most cooperative serial killers the FBI ever interviewed was also one of the most terrifying? A man with an IQ of 145 who could charm you with his words, yet murdered his own mother, dismembered his victims, and calmly drove around with their corpses in his car. Edmund Kemper, known as the Co-Ed Killer. At first glance, he seemed like your average giant, soft-spoken, intelligent, even polite. But beneath that calm exterior lay a storm of rage, fueled by years of humiliation, neglect, and deep psychological torment. Standing at 6'9" and weighing over 250 pounds, Kemper's physical presence was imposing. But it was his mind that truly made him dangerous. Kemper's descent into darkness began early. He was born in 1948 in Burbank, California, and from childhood, he was emotionally and verbally abused, especially by his mother, Clarnell. She called him a creep, locked him in the basement, and forbade him from showing affection, convinced he'd become like his father. This toxic relationship became the seed of his hatred, not just for her, but for women in general. By the age of 15, Kemper had already killed his grandparents. He claimed it was to see what it felt like. That moment was just the beginning.
My frustration, my inability to communicate socially, sexually. I wasn't impotent, but emotionally I was impotent. I was scared to death of failing in male-female relationships. I knew absolutely nothing about that whole area. Even if just sitting down and talking with a young lady. I need to be able to really communicate, and ironically enough, that's why I began picking people up. And I'm picking up young women, and I'm going a little bit farther each time. It's a daring kind of a thing. At first there wasn't a gun. I'm driving along. We go to a vulnerable place where there aren't people watching, where I could act out, and I say, no, I can't. And then a gun is in the car, hidden. And this craving, this awful, raging, eating feeling inside.
Professionals analyzing Kemper's behavior noted traits of antisocial personality disorder, impulsivity, aggression, and a complete disregard for others. Narcissistic personality disorder, grandiosity, a craving for admiration and deep entitlement. Psychopathy, a cold, calculated mindset with no empathy or remorse. But it doesn't end there. Some experts argue Kemper had an Oedipal complex, a deep-rooted subconscious resentment and fixation on his mother, leading him to ultimately murder her in the most symbolic way possible. Between 1972 and 1973, Kemper murdered 6 young women. He would pick up hitchhikers, drive them to isolated areas, kill them, and often dismember or violate their corpses. But it was his final act that stunned even the most hardened agents. He killed his own mother, bludgeoned her, decapitated her, and defiled her body. He later claimed she was the reason. All of this was her fault. To him, her death was the end game. Once she was gone, he surrendered to the police, calmly, peacefully. Kemper wasn't a disorganized killer. He was meticulous, calculated. He knew how to manipulate the system. With an IQ of 145, he could mirror emotions he didn't feel, speak eloquently, and convince psychologists he was cured, which is exactly how he was released from a psychiatric hospital after killing his grandparents. His cooperation with the FBI later became a cornerstone in developing criminal profiling techniques. The FBI's behavioral science unit was captivated by Kemper, not just because of his crimes, but because he willingly spoke about them. In interviews with John Douglas and Robert Ressler, Kemper detailed everything: his fantasies, his planning, and his feelings, or lack thereof. These sessions laid the foundation for modern profiling, especially in identifying organized killers, intelligent, methodical, socially competent, narcissistic traits, craving power, recognition, and dominance. Maternal rage. Many serial killers have deep issues tied to early maternal relationships. Kemper was the ultimate case study. So what makes Edmund Kemper so terrifying? It's not just the brutality of his crimes, it's the calm, the logic, the intelligence behind them. He teaches us that the face of evil isn't always obvious. It can be friendly, articulate, even cooperative. But beneath the mask, there's a storm of trauma, rage, and darkness. Kemper's story isn't just a tale of murder. It's a chilling look at how childhood abuse, psychological disorders, and unchecked darkness can give birth to a monster. And this is just the beginning. In the next episode of Dark Corridor, we'll explore another twisted mind, someone even more unpredictable. Until then, stay safe, stay aware, and don't trust appearances.